What's up everyone, today I want to talk about one of the best Necromancer Summoner builds for Season 2, and it's a Blood Surge Summoning build. And with the buffs to minions and to blood abilities, this build is stronger than ever in Season 2. I've already made a leveling version of this, which I'll link down below if you're still under 50, but this one is for going further. I want to talk about the Paragon Board, and once you get some uniques that are in this build, this really starts to shine and really does good damage. You will be clearing nightmare dungeons in a matter of minutes, and you'll be taking out bosses in seconds. So this build is focused all around the Blood Surge ability. That's our main damage dealer here. And the reason it's so powerful is two things. One, we use the Blood Bathe aspect, which means when we use Blood Surge, a second one goes off straight after. And then we combine that with the Death Speaker's Pendant, which is a unique amulet. And that means that every time you do a Blood Surge, your minions do a little mini Blood Surge as well. We combine that with the aspects that give us 2 extra skeletal warriors and 2 extra skeletal mages, which just means you have a huge amount of things on screen, all pumping out Blood Surges, which annihilate massive packs of enemies and bosses in seconds. It's super strong, it's super powerful, and it's one of the most fun Necromancer builds I've played so far. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's go over the build, the aspects, and this does use a lot of legendary aspects, a couple of uniques. So if you're looking for something really simple, I do have a leveling version down below, which mostly uses codex aspects, but this one's really strong, and the more of these you have, the stronger it gets. So on the head, I have the hardened bones. Your minions gain damage reduction, really good for just keeping your minions alive, especially on bosses and higher nightmare dungeons. On the chest, I go with Disobedience, again for defense, increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any sort of damage, stacking up to 66% at the top end. On the gloves, I have Occult Dominion. This gives you the extra skeletal mages, which is really important when you have the blood novas popping off from your minions. And then alongside this on the boots, I've got the Blood Getter aspect, which increases the number of skeletal warriors. So with these two, you have 4 extra minions, so 4 extra mini blood novas going off. Then on the legs, I have the Embalmer aspect. Consuming a corpse has a chance to spawn a blood orb. This is really important because we play into blood orbs and overpower for really big burst damage. Then on the weapon, I have Blood Bathed. Blood Surge's Nova echoes again after a short delay, dealing less damage. This is really important. If you want to put that on a two-hander, that's also really good if you want to change this, because this is a big damage ability, and that reduces it does less damage reduction if you put it on a two-hander. Offhand, I have Rathma's Chosen. When your blood skills overpower, you gain attack speed. Then onto the rings, the last aspect I have is the Reincarnation. Your minions gain increased damage while alive, up to a certain percent after 10 seconds. This is just a damage boost. I would consider switching this out with the new unique that came out yesterday, today, the Malignant unique, the one that auto-raises skeletons, auto-casters corpse tendrils, things like that. We do use skeletons and golems and corpse tendrils in this ability, so I would probably switch this out. I farmed it for a few hours last night and I didn't get the drop, so I'm going to keep trying to get it. But I would replace this with the new unique when you get it, because this isn't that important. It's pretty good, but it's not that important. Then this uses 2 uniques. It uses the Mother's Embrace. If a core skill hits 4 or more enemies, a percent of the resource cost is refunded. The way we jump into big packs and use Blood Surge, you're going to do that. You're going to hit 4 enemies, so you're going to get a big resource back. On top of that, there's also really good stats on that, like baseline on the ring. Then the Death Speaker, this kind of brings the build together. Blood Surge casts a mini nova on your minions, dealing damage. Damage is increased by 10% per target, drained by an initial cast up to 50%. This just takes the damage to another level. This turns it from a fairly slow, fairly resource heavy build where you jump into a pack, you burn through your resource, and then you have to get it back and then go through another cycle to kill a pack of enemies. When you have the Death Speaker's Pendant, you jump into a pack and you burn through most of the pack, even their elites will be down before you've run out of resource. So then you can jump to the next one and it'll be back up again. So this kind of, once you have this, the damage ramps up so high that you can get through packs without burning through your mana. So you don't have to really worry about having a basic ability. So yeah, this is a really, really key one, and it's one you want to be looking to farm to make this build as good as it is. On top of that, the base skills on it are really good. Passives to Coalescing Blood, Summoning skill damage, Essence cost reduction, Blood skill damage. It's perfect for this build. I don't want to go into too much detail onto what to look for on the items, because that's kind of long, but I'll link it all down below. I've got a full detailed Mobalytics guide, Mobalytics builder down below, where I'll try and put the things to look for on your items. But yeah, this isn't a crit heavy build or a a Fortify heavy build. It's not a certain build that you need to farm specific things for. Anything that increases damage, overpower, or your abilities, or close enemies, or minion ability damage, anything like that is good. Anything that reduces damage is good, and any ranks in your abilities is a win. So yeah, I wouldn't stress the item stats too much, but I'll link them all down below. Okay, let's go through the skill tree, and I've cleared it out because I want to talk through this in detail, because there's certain things you can do here depending on where you are and how much of the build is done or what you're missing, and I'll talk through them. So the first thing you want to do is take 2 basics to unlock the core skills. Now, if you are struggling for mana and maybe you don't have the unique amulet, you can use this as your primary ability, you know, your left click to build essence, because this here, you get 2 essence per enemy hit. So this is good for building essence if you're constantly running out and the build isn't finished. Then you want to get down to here. The main part of this build is Blood Surge. So you want to dump 5/5 in Blood Surge because that's your big damage dealer. Then you want to take Enhanced Blood Surge to increase the amount of heal, because that powers into your overpower. And then I take this one here. If an enemy is damaged by Blood Surge Nova while you're healthy, you gain 1 stack of Overwhelming Blood. When you have 5 stacks of Overwhelming Blood, your next Blood Surge overpowers. And we take a lot of things in the build, in the skill tree, in the Paragon Board, and things like that improve our overpower damage. And you can pick it up on your items as well. So this is really important. This is like a key one. Then as we go down, you want to be taking passives as well. So I take 1 point in here to increase your max essence, and then here your core skills cost more essence but deal increased damage. If you 3 out of 3 that's 15% more damage. You want to take Blood Mist. This is your get out free ability. This is your immunity. It's incredible on pretty much every part of the game. So I take 1 point here because we don't really care about you can take more to reduce the cooldown, but I wouldn't worry, 1's enough. 1 point in there. Then I would take Enhanced. Casting a skill that overpowers reduces the cooldown. So this is why we don't worry too much about the cooldown on it, because we overpower a lot, so the cooldown reduces a lot. Then I would take this. Blood Mist leaves a corpse. If you ever were needing corpses, this is going to give you, I think you get 3 per use. You can take the Fortify, but I think this is the better take. Then you want to take this, increase the damage and life of your warriors, your skeletal warriors. Take that 3 times and you have 45% extra damage and life, which is incredible. Then moving down, you want to take a choice here of Iron Maiden or Decrepify. This is going to be divisive, but depending on how you play. So if you're leveling, if you're in tier 3, early tier 4, you're doing the Hell Tides, you're doing the Blood Harvest, things like that, I would take Iron Maiden. Really good. As you start moving into higher Nightmare dungeons and bosses, and you want to take on the big bosses, I would take Decrepify. So you curse the enemy and slow them, and they deal less damage. Then you can take this. Enemies hit have a 10% chance to be stunned, and we can take things in the Paragon Board, certain glyphs that we can do more damage to slowed and stunned enemies, so we actually get a damage boost there. And then I would take this one. Enemies hit effective with Decrepify have a 15% chance to reduce your active cooldowns by 1 second. I would take that. So yeah, that's how I would play this. If you are, say, 50-60, I'd take this. As you start pushing over 70, I would switch over to Decrepify. Then you want to take this one, increase the damage of your skeletal mages, damage and life by 60%, pretty crucial for a minion build. And then I would take Death's Embrace. Close enemies take 6% more damage and deal 9% less damage to you. We're literally jumping into big packs of mobs and then pulling them all in with corpse tendrils. So there's a lot of stuff going to be near us. Even if they're ranged, they're going to be near us when we pull them in. Then I would also take this one. You deal 12% increased damage to cursed enemies. The way this build works is as soon as you've got into a group, you lay down these huge cursors. These cursors both of them take up like the whole screen. So you just lay it down before you start damaging. Then down to here, you want to take corpse tendrils. This brings everything in, and it's just a great ability. And if you have the new unique ring, this gets casted automatically, I think every 6 seconds. Then you want to take this. Enemies that are pulled in are slowed. And then I take this here. Has a 35% chance to drop a blood orb. You can take this one to make them vulnerable for a damage boost, but the way we use blood orbs and overpower, I would go for this. Okay, then this section here, we just go to town. We go to town on the blood abilities. 30% more healing from all sources. While healthy, they deal, I mean, I've got 2 from my items, so yours would be 24% damage, I think. And then you would take this one. Hitting enemies with blood scales has up to a 30% chance to fortify you for 8% of your life. Take this one as well. Your blood skills deal increased, 15% increased over damage, doubled when you're healthy. You're going to be healthy a lot with this build. And then here, your blood skills have a chance to create a blood orb at the target location. That's how I would literally max this out. If you think any of this isn't worth it, you're not finding you have any lucky here, you can drop some of these down to like 1 of 3 just to get the base effect. But I would definitely take these 3, and these 2 are up to you, I guess. I'll show you where you would use these points if you don't want to put them here though. Anyway, next we take this. When a corpse is formed from your skills or your minions, fortify for 6% of your life, max that one. Then we go down. Okay, onto the key aspect, you know, the key passive, it's Rathma's Vigor. After being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. This time is reduced by 2 seconds each time blood orbs heal or overheal you. So everything we've taken gives us more blood orbs. Everything we've taken powers up our overpower. So the way this works is we're getting the overpower triggering more, and every time it triggers, we get the Rathma's Vigor. So this is really powerful. Then you can have some points left. I would just dump them into here for powering up your minions. So after you've been healthy for at least 2 seconds, your minions gain attack speed, and then into here, increased armor and resistance. I'd max this out. And then it's up to you if you've got any points left. If you don't take the points here, you can drop these two and drop these two, and then come down and fill this out. So you would go into here, increase damage while you're close to them, or you can go like this. That could be a way to build this out, but yeah, I'd say decide if you want to go into here or go into here. It's up to you. I like going into here more, but if you want to do this one, that's cool too. But yeah, that's the build. That's how I play it. There's not really anything I would change on this. I mean, you can try and work in Corpse Explosion with the new ring if you really want to. You can try and run Double Curse if you want to. But yeah, maybe you could run Bone Storm if you want to. That could work as well if you're running the Golem. But I think this is kind of optimal. I think this is pretty good. Okay, so on the Book of the Dead, here's how you want to run it. So for the melees, the skeleton warriors, I would take skirmishers. So if you take this one here, you can raise 1 additional skirmish warrior. Now with the Death Speaker amulet, every single additional minion will release a mini nova, so it's an extra huge damage boost. However, the skirmishers have 15% reduced life, so you want to make sure you're investing into minion damage, defense, and things like that. It's kind of more high maintenance. With the new unique ring, you'll auto raise your minions, which will auto buff, auto heal, and auto re-raise minions regularly every second, I think. So that's amazing. If you're finding your minions are dying too much, you can take this one. Reapers have a 15% chance to carve the flesh off of enemies. That's pretty good too, but I really like this one. Then onto the skeletal mages. I always take this in a summoner minion build, and it's this one here, the cold. Every time your cold mages damage enemies with their primary attack, you gain 2 essence. If you also have the you get 2 extra mages aspect, you're gaining so much essence passively. It's just great. It's really, really, really helpful, and I think it's better than everything else. Then on the golem, if you are leveling and you are finding that you're constantly out of essence and you're really running out of essence, or maybe you don't have enough damage from your unique neck, things like that, you might want to run the basic skill we took, you know, the blood skill we took as our basic ability. If you get to the point where I am, when you're in like tier 4 and your build is getting like more fleshed out, you don't really have that mana issue. You don't really have the running out of essence issue because you're doing so much damage, you're clearing the packs really fast. You can run a golem. So I take golem and I take this one here. Your blood golem absorbs 15% of the damage you would take. You basically get a massive damage mitigation from your golem, letting you push much higher dungeons and just have that durability that Necromancer doesn't normally have. If you don't want to use a golem, I would maybe go for this one here. Your max life is increased by 10%. That's probably how I'd go with it. But yeah, that's how I do it. Let me know if you do things different down below. I kind of always run the Book of the Dead the same. I feel like there's certain things in there that are really strong and I always take them. But if you do anything different, let me know. Or if you change anything, let me know. Okay, now let's go through the vampire abilities, starting with this one, Prey on the Weak. You deal 16% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Then we go down to here, Feed the Coven. Conjuration, Companion, Minion, and Familiar attacks have a 60% chance to restore 10 primary resource to you and increase your damage. Perfect for a minion build. Then we take Metamorphosis. When you evade, you become unstoppable for 4 seconds, and enemies take damage. Again, especially as you're pushing hard content, unstoppable is really, really important. Then Hemomacy. Your attacks deal 80% of your max life as physical damage to nearby enemies. This is like a constant passive damage increase. Really, really useful with a little heal on top of it. And then Blood Boil. When your core skills overpower an enemy, you spawn 3 volatile blood drops. Collecting a drop causes it to explode, dealing damage. This is really useful. As you like jump around, you'll teleport around as bats, you'll pop these blood things and they'll power up. Every 20 seconds, your next skill is guaranteed to overpower. This is probably one of the coolest abilities we have here. If you're going to change anything here, I'd maybe get rid of Prey of the Weak and change it for Sanguine Brace for the Fortify. I'm very tempted to switch those, but yeah, very tempted to switch those out. But other than that, I think this is really good. Let me know down below if you change anything. Obviously, Season 2, we're still learning like what works best as the vampire abilities, but I think this might be worth changing for Prey on the Weak, but Prey on the Weak is just really good when you can make them vulnerable. Okay, now onto the Paragon Board, and I'm going to use the Mobalytics builder for this because, you know, it can show you the build, the skill tree, your gear, vampire abilities, everything's on here. It's just really clear. And the Paragon board is just really nice because you can see the board you attach, the glyph that goes in it, and you can just zoom out, see the whole thing. Really good while you're leveling. So this is what I would do. First off, go for the middle and put the control glyph in. This is a good glyph because it doesn't power up anything around it, and you don't want to power up a starter board. So it's good. Then get 40 intelligence around here to trigger the glyph. Now, with Paragon boards, they're decisive. Make them how you want to make them. Everyone has different, thoughts and feelings on them, and you want to make yours unique if you want. But I'm just going to show you mine, and if you want to copy it, you can. It's, some people don't want to go to the effort of working out the Paragon board, and that's what these builds are for. But if you do want to change them around, just take note of what boards I've used and what glyphs I've used, and just mix it up however you want. So first up, you want to work your way to the middle of the Blood Begets Blood board, and I use the Amplify node. Grants 30 bonus to the magic nodes nearby, and they are really good. There's like overpower damage in here and here. See, there's like 3 overpower damage nodes which you can power up, and then the Amplify node itself does increased damage to cursed enemies, and we curse them with our curse ability, Iron Maiden or Decrepify, whichever you want to use. Then you go off in all directions here, but I would start by going left. I'd start by going left and attaching the Bloodbath board. On the Bloodbath board, you want to come in, turn it this way, and wrap yourself all the way around to here. There's 22.5% overpower damage, 45% overpower damage. So you want to grab these and then work your way up to the main thing on the Bloodbath board, which is 35% increased overpower damage. So just by going here alone in your first few Paragon points, you're getting a huge increase to overpower damage. Then I would go up to here and I would get the node. I would get the Blood Drinker node in here. Fortify, orbs give Fortify, and they grant a power up to magic nodes nearby. And then I'd grab these nodes as well. It's only a couple of points and they're not bad, damage, fortified, intelligence, stuff like that. It's worth getting because you need to power this up with 40 intelligence anyway. Then you want to come back to the main board and you want to go right. The right is a big board. So I would start by going right here, working your way through here, getting the damage after picking up blood orbs, and going into this board here, the Cult Leader board. And this is a big board. This is minion damage, a minion defense board. So this is where most of your points are going to go. It is a summoner build, and I think this is a really important build. First, I go down to here to increase skeletal warrior armor and damage and get everything around it. Then I go up here and get minion armor, life, and all the ones around it. Get the main thing here, your minions deal damage increased based on how many you've got. If you've got the Golem, this is a huge increase. Then you want to work your way down and get this cluster as well for skeletal mage damage and resistance. Down again for more minion damage and attack speed. And then you want to work your way here to the glyph. Now the Dead Razor glyph here is incredible. So this glyph's really good because it increases any bonuses to minion damage and damage reduction modifiers. And there's a lot of that in this board. So I would take this here, and the glyph itself is great. Whenever your minions take damage, whenever your minions deal damage to an enemy, that enemy takes increased damage from you and your minions. So that works really, really well. So I would fill this cluster out completely. Now, once you've done that, this board is complete. Then I'd go back to the main board and start working your way up. You can grab this, Blood Orbs grant 5% increased damage up to 15%, and then work your way up to the very top and attach the Scent of Death board. I'd go up here, straight line, I'd grab this little cluster here for some intelligence and armor, and then I'd get the node here, and I like Territorial. You gain 15% damage reduction against close enemies. As you start pushing high, you're going to need that because damage reduction is really important in high nightmare dungeons. And then you can get the main glyph here. While there's 2 corpses nearby, you gain damage reduction. When no corpses nearby, you deal increased damage. So that is how I would run it. Now, some people might want to thin out this board and thin out this board to attach another board and attach another glyph. And I agree, this doesn't use that many glyphs because we're very heavy on the boards. And if you want to thin out some of these skills and add an extra glyph, I'd go for that. But this is how I think it's going to be really good. This is how I've been running it. And I'm excited to play this as it is. So this is it if you want to use it. But yeah, that's the build. That's everything. I hope this has helped. I hope this has been... I put a lot of effort into these to make them very detailed, and I try and back it up with as much as I can in a link. So yeah, if this has helped, let me know down below if you tried it, you're going to try it, if you would change anything. And if it's helped, dropping a like really helps me, and subscribe to the channel for more. I make a ton of builds on this video. I make them every season. I make them about different classes, and they don't come out that fast because I try and put a lot of time into them and test them fully myself. So but yeah, that's it for the video. I really hope it's helped. I'm going to wrap it up here. Take care, everyone. Hope you keep enjoying season 2, and I'll catch you in the next one.